Hey, I couldn't be more excited, guys. We're back. We're here. We're still covering sophomores. We're breaking down the 2021 season. We did all the hard work for you. You came to the right place. You're in the right spot. Get Right Fantasy Network. I'm accompanied by Frank and Anthony. Once again, guys, thanks for being here.
Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
What's up, peoples?
Without further ado, let me show off our intro. Guys, hey, I'm glad you're here. I know your sleeves are rolled all the way up. Like I said, we did the hard work for you here at Get Right Fantasy. Thank you guys for watching. I kind of want to jump right into it. And this is the interesting part. We all know we're coming up on the 2021 draft. I wanted to break down our sophomore receivers, guys that were picked last year. I wanted to bring them up in order. I'm not a Raider hater, but it's so hard to bring up Ruggs. I mean, there's not much to say. The guy got 26 catches last year as your number one receiver off the board.
Yikes. Moving on.
Yeah.
Unless, Frank, there's anything you want to add there.
What can you add? The only thing I could add to
sorry,
that.
Raider fans. We're really sorry. We didn't even mean to do that.
Yeah, that's totally if reading the stats of your number one receiver offends your team, that's not a problem with us. That's a problem with your number one receiver. So, I mean, it's a sophomore edition, but even they picked up another receiver, which is probably going to hurt them more. I mean, they both finished with 450 yards last year. They were 6 yards away from each other. Like, yeah, not much we could talk about there. Moving on, I believe Jeudy was the next pick. Hey, not bad.
Not much going on there either, man.
I don't know, man. He had 113 targets last year, 856 yards. I think where they lacked was just the 3 touchdowns, and I think that comes down to quarterback competency or lack thereof. And so, again, we'll see. Obviously, they had guys in and out of the lineup at that position. I think at one point they even started some practice squad quarterback. Dustin, can you help me out there? I don't know if that rings a bell to you or not. But, exactly. So, again, for 113 targets, again, to me, I think actually it's your quote, Frank, from one of our previous podcasts, targets equals touches equals points or something along those lines.
Yeah,
so
but he's more of a wide
113
receiver,
targets, man. Exactly. But again, we're looking for those guys who are going to make that rookie jump, the next year. Again, if they can get some, good off season, get some preseason work in there, develop some chemistry, you could see those more efficiency out of those 113 targets, maybe even more. And, see what that turns into. You could be the next 1,000-yard receiver there.
Yeah, hey, they can definitely use it over there. I think if he gets the right receiver, the right quarterback thrown to him, could have a different Jerry Jeudy. He's definitely a baller. He was relevant for a couple weeks. This steal
he
of the
did
draft,
have a 92-yard touchdown, by the way. So we can't take that away from him. So
one game,
let's at least mention that.
Yards, yeah.
You get a 92-yard
at the end of the season.
You gotta say that. But I'm just saying, he still did it. How many people say they could do it? So I'm just saying, not everybody scores
80 yards.
If we're gonna mention him, we have to at least mention 92 yards. So anyway, go ahead.
I'll give you that. So now, hey, let's really jump to just greatness, right? Obviously, the one that stood out to everybody, right? The steal of the draft. They let him fall to 17 to an already lethal offense. My own projected Super Bowl winners for next year. Could I build it any higher? I mean, my son's already got his jersey. Ceedee Lamb. Welcome to the boys.
Oh yeah. No, he killed it, dude. 74 receptions, 935 yards, 5 touchdowns. I think he's going to have 1,500 yards next year, double-digit touchdowns, and definitely the number one wide receiver there. That's with Dak coming back, and he did that with a couple of different quarterbacks. The whole situation that happened over there in Dallas. So, he still was almost able to get 1,000 yards. So once Dak is back with full healthy season, sky's the limit.
Timeout. Are you saying that he's going to be the number one receiver in Dallas next year?
No, I'm not. I'm saying he's a wide receiver 1 for fantasy purposes.
Gotcha. Makes sense.
I don't know. I keep picking up on it when you always talk about the receiving core. You always lead with Ceedee Lamb. I've kind of noticed that. And you kind of put Amari last. You always go Ceedee Lamb, Michael Gallup, Amari Cooper. So I think Cooper's the highest paid there. But obviously, from
By
you guys,
far.
diehard fans, kind of tells me where he stands with you. You want to elaborate on that at all? Well, this is the sophomore wide receiver so we'll save the Cooper hate for later.
There's no hate on him. He's a wide receiver 1 also. There's plenty going around. I mean, Dak throws like 500 yards a game, so these guys could get all eat. Everybody eats.
We'll see.
All right, guys. So keeping it in order, I could be wrong here. Your boy Anthony, hey, you were projecting this guy as your sleeper of the year. He actually, I won't talk about who he got drafted before, but Jalen Reagor. You want to any relevance next year?
I mean, you could look at that Jalen to Jalen connection there, I guess, in Philadelphia. I was kind of, pretty high. I was pretty high on him last year. He was coming off that injury. I think when he started, when he started the year, he caught a 55-yard touchdown. It was like his first catch of the year from Carson Wentz. And so, I mean, it kind of showed you, what his potential could be there. Again, it was only one catch, but, when you see kind of lightning strike like that, those boomer bust guys, those are the guys I like. He has speed coming off an off season. He kind of got a taste of it last year. And again, usually these sophomore guys, once they kind of get their, get that rookie season out of the way, they kind of know, how the travel works, how, getting in and out of games works, just all that stuff isn't new to them anymore. They can just really focus on film, really focus on, themselves and really make that next jump the next year. And to me, this is the type of guy. I'm looking for.
You're not.
This
You're
guy's
not.
a
guys are
fucking waiver wire
haters for the
He's a
Eagles.
waiver
You guys
wire
are
pickup
haters for the
at best,
Eagles.
like a bench guy.
You guys are
You leave him on a
haters.
draft this dude.
You guys
Stay
are
away. Like,
haters.
really,
Don't listen to
Let
these
them know.
guys, man.
No,
Don't
dude,
listen to these guys.
396 yards, 54 targets is not
Whatever.
enough to be on your bench. Like, let it go.
We're talking about projections, dude. We're not talking about exactly what they did
You
last
drafted.
year.
Well, I'm just saying.
We'll see, man.
Moving on.
All right.
Moving on.
Let them fall. These guys are Eagles
Hey,
haters, man. Don't listen
Let's
to
talk
these
about your
Dallas
guy,
guys.
Brandon Ayuk. What
There
are you
we
going to
go.
do with that
Let's
guy?
talk about
No,
a real
no.
receiver. Let's talk about a real
Yeah.
receiver.
We're not talking. So one thing I do want to say. So the Eagles picked him over Justin Jefferson, which is along the trend when they got JJ Arcega-Whiteside over DK Metcalf. It's an Eagles thing. I mean, Justin Jefferson balled out last year. If we're going to talk about sophomore receivers, I built up Ceedee Lamb, but Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, I think he's the real guy really here that we're talking about. That's going to have, I think, a significant fantasy impact. Going from a guy who wasn't even drafted last year to I'm pretty sure is going to be drafted, even with the low volume in that Kirk Cousins offense over there, still putting up fantastic numbers. So again, we'll see what he does, but I think if anything, this is the guy who actually has significant draftable value here coming up this year.
Well, I agree with Justin Jefferson there. Yeah, for sure. That's a draftable guy. That's somebody you want to pick up. Wide receiver 2, maybe, even wide receiver 1, depending on when you actually pick him up and have maybe running back heavy during your draft. So he's a perfect guy to add at that point.
Yeah, he took over Thielen's job over there. Last year when we were doing a lot of our podcasts at that time, it seemed like every week we were talking about Pittsburgh's receivers. They had I won't call them a three-headed monster. They had 3 receivers and you never knew which one was going to go off. Chase Claypool being one of them. Are you guys going to be targeting him this year?
It's again, maybe a bench guy because, you never know over there. Like, as you mentioned, it was boomer bust. They had, whoever had the hot hand, it was hard to say which week that was happening because it had no consistency in that. So, he's hard to start. You know what I mean? It's hard to keep on your roster if you don't know what's going to come out of that guy. So, he's a bench guy for me.
Yeah. He's got that upside potential, but
yeah, I mean, I'm kind of there as well. Again, he's 6'4". I love that red zone, size for a guy that big. And I think it's proven in what he did last year with 9 touchdowns. He did end up getting 109 targets, so obviously he's being looked at. We know Pittsburgh will throw the ball. They didn't really make any significant changes on the, in the running game as far as, James Conner back there. They kind of, signed a couple other guys here, but, nobody that's going to be a workhorse, back there. So I think they're still going to be throwing the ball. So again, if you're going to go heavy RB, I think these are the type of guys that you're going to have to almost kind of rely on. So really take a look at these guys and figure out which ones that you're going to want in these later rounds, because these are the guys who are going to be available if you're drafting running back heavy. So again, I look at 6'4", I look at 109 targets, I look at 62 catches, and more importantly, 9 touchdowns. And so for me, I'll take a look at it. Plus he had 10 carries for 2 touchdowns too. So they're going to use him in, on the goal line in different ways. So I'll take a flyer on him. I mean, that's 11 total touchdowns. That's almost a touchdown a game. So again, I'll take that.
Yeah. And so speaking of wide receivers that were getting runs, Laviska Shenault last year, he's going to be my honorable mention for this show from Jacksonville. Got to play in a couple different positions. I feel like if they work everything correctly, he's somebody that you could keep an eye on, maybe middle of the year. But somebody who I think's potential like skyrocket. I mean, they're going to get Big D Joe back. They have that top pick that we were talking about. They got rid of AJ Green. I mean, T Higgins. I mean, we can't have a sophomore wide receiver show without talking about T.
Oh, T Higgins is the guy I like. I think he's going to have a breakout season next year. Having the quarterback back and healthy, it's going to go a long way with him as well. So, I like him. He had really good stats last year, and he finished pretty strong, I think. I had him a couple. I think we were able to pick him up in one of my leagues, but 908 yards and 6 touchdowns, and I think you could get the 1,000 yards and double-digit touchdowns next year, easy. Maybe 1,500.
Yeah, and keep in mind that they lost Joe Burrow in week 11, and he still put up fairly respectable, numbers, and their defense was terrible, which again resulted in those 61, attempts in that one game, and almost 30 plus, attempts a game. So again, these are the type of guys that you need to be comfortable with if you're drafting running back heavy, because you're probably not going to get one of those high-end names. So these are the guys you're going to want to put in there that any week can, give you wide receiver 1 output.
Yeah, I'd be comfortable with him. He's their clear number 1 now. I don't see why not. Always see if he gets all the targets and everything else. 108 targets, not bad.
Yeah, and he has a legitimate threat across from him. I think you just said that, Tyler Boyd. So I think he was just, they pretty much, were pretty equal in targets there. So he's just going to throw to the open guy. Both those guys are fast. They're big guys. So, I think, we'll see what happens.
And he's getting 2 Joes back next year. That wasn't an error. You got money. Hey, Money Mixon's coming back,
And Big D.
Hey, it could open him up a lot more, but man, I feel like we covered a lot. There's tons of sophomore receivers out there. Kind of hit the main targets. If you're looking for draftable players in their second year, you didn't know where they're going to be or what the changes are. That's why I want to thank you, Frank. Thank you, Anthony, for doing the research for us. It's going to help me on my draft, I know.
Definitely. Glad we could help.
Peace out, guys.
See you later.